Hi, thank you for checking this file, which is a teenage girl room. Now I wonder why hasn't anyone published something like this? So I figured, you know what, it's time that we can construct something that can reflect the spirit of a messy teenage girl. In this case, it can be used as a background, virtual background scene, or you can use it as well for any of your animations that you have planned inside a room, because sometimes we really need something to be ready for us to use in our scenes for our characters. So I decided, you know what, it's a good idea to start creating something like this. Now the great thing about this scene is that it's created with Blender, and you can render it using cycles, which will calculate the light bounces realistically, or you can use EEVEE as you saw just some minutes ago. And every little detail here has been, constructed so that it will reflect a teenage room. This is the outliner. This is where you can move your objects. So you just right click on it, select the hierarchy, because this entire thing is created from the mesh and also an empty controller, which I call the null. So everything is selected there. I'm going to be hovering over this one, and then I'm going to press M, which means to move to a collection. And then I'm going to select the collection where I want to move it, in this case inside room general. This is the world COG. As you can see, this is the outside of the scene. Has all of these pictures, and you can replace those pictures however you would want. This is the direct view from the window, so make sure that your pictures are big enough to replace this. And the way you do that is by selecting here your picture. In this case, you're going to come to the shader editor, and then this is where the image is living, where it's connected to. And then you can just press this button to write it to the local directory, and after that this will be converted to a folder icon where you can click on it and then search your new image. So press once, it will turn to a folder, press twice, and then it will allow you to search for a new image, because right now this icon means it's packed. The image is packed inside Blender. Yes, Blender can pack images as to collect everything that you're using outside, and it collects it inside the same scene. Isn't that marvelous? Say for example this pillow, you can see that right here the material changed and it's called pillow white, and here's the little folder. So if you click there, it's going to take you to a file explorer where you can open your new image for this pillow, and then it will be wrapped over. And the same thing goes for everything that you see here. You don't like this, you can click on it right here, picture wall road, click on that, target your file, and just like that you have changed your pictures. And this is screen side that you see right here. It's being rendered with cycles, as you can see right here on the settings. And of course every light it's already positioned there. So let me show you what you can do to create that kind of lighting here on EEVEE. You want to come here to the render properties, switch from cycles to EEVEE, and maybe let's activate this bloom option later on. But first you want to come down all the way here where it says indirect lighting. Right now I'm going to delete the lighting cache. When you do that, you will read no light cache in this scene. You need to recreate it by pressing here bake indirect lighting. And also you have another button for bake cube map only. This is for reflections and other things. But we're going to press on this one. All of these other settings you can also adjust, like for example the cube map size and diffuse occlusion and many other settings that you have right here. But basically this scene is already configured so that you can add more lights, delete the light cache, and then bake them again. And now it is going to take its time, and it's going to start baking this scene. You can see the progress bar down here, and what it's doing, it's calculating every light bounce, the shadows under the objects. It's calculating the shiny things with the direction of the light, taking in acquaintance and also shiny surfaces. I'm not going to be moving my scene right now, but let's just wait until the light baking it's done. Now that's done, you will see that no matter where you turn your camera or your position where you set the camera, you're also going to notice the bouncing lights for the reflections and all of that. It's working accordingly. Look at this ambient occlusion. Now let's turn on the bloom. Once you activate that, every object that has a very bright light is going to also get rendered here. So I'm going to click here for the final viewport shading, and just like we mentioned previously, you bake the light, and now all of these that you're seeing right here has been baked, so it doesn't have to be recalculated. The reflections, the lightning on the edges, everything is there. So that's the main difference between Cycles and EEVEE, that once you bake the light map, everything will look much nicer than when you are on the default material view method. Okay, the viewport shading, when you're on final render, viewport shading displayed render for final rendering method. When you're on EEVEE, make sure that you are going to bake indirect lighting, and this is the result. This will give you faster and more quicker results if you're testing out your blocking lights inside the scene, and then you can get this kind of results with amazing realism.